Hello, people. I wanted to make my first vlog about me and just a beginning story of who I am. Not many people know the story fully, so I wanted to start in the beginning. So I decided to take a walk. I can't lie that I feel closest to myself when I'm just taking a walk, hearing nature around me. I thought for a while on what I was gonna do for one of my first lives, and then I said, no, I'm just gonna record it. This entire vlog will be mostly raw, with lives, unscripted, off the fly, on my perspectives on life and understanding, all the curveballs it can throw at you. We all know what those are, because we each have our own that we deal with on a day-to-day basis. I'll start at the beginning and give a brief description of me. I was born in Bradford County, Pennsylvania, to Bill and Sue Keir, my wonderful parents. They did a great job. They raised 5 kids to full maturity with barely any bumps and bruises to speak of. Christian based, heavily, which was raised with a lot of male dominated perspective based with the King James Version Bible, which was hard sometimes as a kid, because as soon as I got towards puberty, I had a lot of questions, a lot of thoughts that contradicted the Bible, the way that they perceived it for themselves, which led to some arguments and fights and stuff that families normally go through. I grew up wild, learning how to defend myself against 4 older siblings. And I loved every minute of it. Every minute of it led to who I am this day. There was hardships along the way, having an older brother that would get mad at me sometimes for just being myself. There's a beautiful creek next to where I am. And I've always been a loner by heart. But when I got into my later teens, I started to have that same feeling of, maybe I should get a girlfriend. I never thought about it until my later years. I always was unique in that way because I didn't really care about what normal people think is like sexual things. I hit puberty at a young age. I was only 10. And in the way my family was about it, they were very, hush hush. So I did self-exploration in the simple way, like most people do, and I thought that it was something to be shamed of if you basically had a sex drive. But it was okay, because, as I said, I didn't mind being a loner. And my maturity level was enough so that I could just sit and do nothing, which to me at the time was prayer. I would just sit and think and contemplate life. I would contemplate Bible verses, and I also was a huge follower of Eastern philosophies. Middle Eastern, of course, because Biblically, that's where they say the Dead Sea Scrolls and all that. And it made me think about every concept, because the whole concept that I was always raised with is that there's only one way to happiness, and that's to live a perfect life and die in Jesus' name. That was the only way for salvation, and I questioned that from day one. I knew that it didn't feel right to me because I knew there was more to life than just being a slave to your religion or anything that kept you inside a box, because I have a touch of Eastern philosophy, I have a touch of all the ancient mythologies, and it all was based on how I felt in the moment towards it. I have nothing against people that have strong beliefs, I never have. I was never one to go out and tell people, you have to be a Christian. I would explain what Christianity meant to me, which it was always based on love and understanding. And it made me very neutral. My standpoints have always been based on accepting yourself, knowing yourself, cultivating and growing your mind, your body. I grew up very physical with 4 siblings. Was picked on heavily as the 4th child, but it made me strong in the sense that once I got bigger, I said, you're not going to do that anymore. Check that out. It's a clay deposit. It's kind of cool. But I've always wanted to share my thoughts and my perspectives with the world. But I was kind of shamed and told that it was basically best to keep that kind of stuff silent, just in case my perspectives were offensive to somebody. But then I realized, thanks to my wife, I'll get more into that, I basically realized that you don't have to be afraid to speak your truth. Your truth is yours alone. People that share a similar truth, that's good. They are your tribe. They are your mutual friend. There's always people that can differ, but it doesn't have to be a debate. Because something that happened and somebody said, oh, you're trying to convert me, and I realized at that moment, I was like, oh, you've got this wrong. All I'm talking about is what I've learned, perspectives that I've seen and heard and felt. Back to what I was saying about in my late teens, I met this girl while I was hanging out with a friend of mine, and I was instantly stricken. There was something about her that I couldn't explain. I just really liked her. And people have names for all of that kind of stuff. And the only name I could give it was love. I just felt attached. It wasn't like it was unhealthy. I didn't see her again for almost a year. Or almost a year and a half, almost 2. And then we met again at a paintball match. And I felt the same way. I was like, this girl is amazing. And then about a year after that, I met her again and I said, well, I'm going to see if she's dating someone. To which she said, that kind of shake the head, complicated situation. And I said, okay. And I talked to my friend and he said, yeah, she's got a boyfriend. And I said, okay, well, I'll back away. But little did I know that she had already been planning on breaking up with that guy, which I didn't know at the time. But then when I found out, I said, okay, well, when you guys are officially done, I would like to date you. And we've been together ever since, going on 11 years. And she has been a strong presence, as she's told me I've been for her. Twin flame, soulmates. There's so many names for an attachment like ours. I've always had a unique code of honor that I've had since I was young. And it's like that old-fashioned chivalry that people think about when they're like, wait, what do you think about this? Everybody has an ability to say their truth about it. What's right is right and what's wrong is wrong. And most people are like, oh, what about gray areas? There's perspectives on everything. As long as it's not making you in mortal danger, you can totally have a lot of talking space to share your feelings. I've always been technically a shy person. I'm not afraid to talk when spoken with. For the most part, I just sit back and I listen. I watch and I learn. I'm a huge follower of all martial arts, physical arts I call them, because I technically don't like to fight. I never have shied away from a fight. But to avoid a fight has been my understanding of what it is to be the greatest warrior. You never back down from one, but you never instigate one. I did a review recently with a good friend of mine, and it was a beautiful story about how I've always felt towards aggression. I've always been assertive. I'm an assertiveness certified coach. And sharing a unique perspective is something that the world is greatly in need of, because there's only two things in life that are the most important things that I could ever focus on, and that's my wife and my kids. Family's kind of like a depiction of how you feel about friends. I have lots of close family. I don't know how much longer I'm allowed to go on the video, but this is just a description of how my videos will be vlogs of my daily inspiration that I get. I do not know how often yet. I will try to have a video every other day with different topics. A big one will be based on the problems that we're running into in the daily world in the year 2020. Some things that have been forgotten, some things that need to be remembered, and more things that could be forgotten, in the sense that some things are outdated. Sometimes people have a traditional way of thinking that creates a lot of conflict with the age of technology. I'm not afraid to be assertive about it in the sense that I'm not afraid to talk about it. A truth is a truth, but it's only a truth to some people. I've had my truths be very upsetting to some people because it changed their entire way of thinking. Instead of just hearing it as a conversation, they took it as a debate, as a conversion, and I've never converted a human being in my life. But I've definitely calmed some angry people down, and sad people, I've coached them up. And that's just a gift that everybody has the ability to do. You can help somebody through a tough situation. And if you can't, nothing goes unheard as much as it goes unspoken. Thanks for listening. And until next time, thank you, all people. Bye.